You know that feeling at a party where everyone is laughing, everyone is talking, everyone seems to know exactly how to just be there? And you're standing in the corner watching all of it like it's a movie you forgot to audition for. You're not shy. You're not awkward. You're just watching, studying, processing every interaction like your brain is taking notes on a species you don't quite belong to. If you've spent your entire life feeling like you're on the outside of a window looking in, like life is happening to everyone else and you're just the audience, that feeling has a name, and it's not what you think. Psychologists describe this as depersonalization adjacent detachment. That sounds clinical, so let me give it a better name. I call it the observer effect. The observer effect is a specific psychological pattern where your default mode is not participation, it's surveillance. You walk into a room and your brain doesn't ask, "How do I join this?" It asks, "What is happening here?" You don't experience moments in real time. You experience them on a slight delay because your brain is busy recording, analyzing, and filing every detail before it lets you feel anything. And by the time it lets you feel something, the moment has already passed. Here's where the science gets interesting. Researchers at the University of Toronto found that people with high observer tendencies have an overactive default mode network. The default mode network is the part of your brain that activates when you're not focused on the outside world. It handles self-reflection, mental simulation, and theory of mind. In most people, this network turns on when they're alone and turns off when they're socializing. In observers, it never turns off. It runs in the background during every conversation, every gathering, every moment that should be simple. Your brain is simultaneously living the experience and narrating the experience. And that dual processing is exactly why everything feels slightly distant. You're not disconnected from life. You're running life in two tabs at once. And that takes bandwidth. And this starts early. A study published in Developmental Psychology found that children who became observers almost always had one specific childhood pattern. They grew up in environments where reading the room was a survival skill. Maybe the household was unpredictable. Maybe one parent's mood determined the entire energy of the house. Maybe you learned very young that watching carefully was safer than participating carelessly. And so your brain built a system. Watch first, analyze second, participate only when safe. That system kept you alive as a child, but it never got the memo that you grew up. So now you're 30 years old at a dinner party, and your brain is still scanning the room for emotional landmines that don't exist anymore. Here's the part that nobody talks about. The loneliest thing about being an observer is that you're never fully anywhere. You're at the birthday party, but you're also floating above it, watching yourself be at the birthday party. You're in the conversation, but you're also 3 steps ahead, predicting where it's going and scripting your next response. You're physically present, but mentally directing the scene. And the cruelest part is that people think you're cold. They think you're distant. They think you don't care. But the truth is the opposite. You care so much that your brain won't let you experience anything without a safety net. That distance isn't apathy, it's armor. And you built it so long ago you forgot you're wearing it. But here's what I need you to understand about the observer effect. It is not a disorder. It is not something to cure. The same overactive default mode network that makes you feel detached is the exact neural architecture responsible for creativity, deep empathy, and complex problem solving. Writers are observers. Therapists are observers. The person in the room who always knows exactly what someone needs to hear? Observer. You didn't get the ability to read a room by accident. You got it because your brain spent decades practicing while everyone else was just living in the rooms. You traded effortless presence for profound perception. And that trade made you the person people come to when something actually matters. Not for small talk, not for surface-level noise, for the real conversations. The ones at 1 a.m. The ones that start with, "I need to tell someone something." They come to you because you see what nobody else sees. And that is not a flaw. That is a gift that cost you something. The next time you're standing at that window, watching life happen on the other side of the glass, don't fight it. Just notice what you notice. Because the things you see from the outside are the things that everyone on the inside is too busy to understand. And that perspective, that quiet, exhausting, beautiful perspective, is yours. Nobody else has it. Now, there's one specific environment where observers finally stop watching and start feeling. And it's the same environment that psychologists say reveals more about your personality than any test ever could. That's what we're getting into next.